Hello, everybody, and welcome to week 4. Week 4 is where we talk about browsers, how they differ, how they're similar, what they do, what browsers actually are, all that kind of stuff. And so I want to spend a little bit of time giving you some background into what browsers are and how they work, because that's going to be the focus of the week 4 discussion board is how are these things different, or are they all similar, and why do you use a specific browser over another one? So you're going to see that right here in the instructions, is that you're going to be focusing in this discussion board on at least 2 of the 4 browsers that are mentioned, and it's Chrome, Firefox, Edge, and Brave. And Brave's probably one that you're not very familiar with, but hopefully after this discussion board in this week you will be. And then you're going to compare and contrast by pulling up a website and telling us a little bit about them, and then talking about which one you prefer and why. So browsers, often this is the week, I do this because a lot of students struggle to kind of find a lot to say in this discussion board. They look and say, well, look, they're all the same. Firefox and Chrome, they're the same. I don't see much of a difference. That's about it. Well, let's delve a little deeper than that and see if there are actual differences. And let me tell you, there certainly are. So I want to spend a little bit of time talking about those browsers. I'm going to focus in particular on Chrome, Edge, and Brave. But first and foremost, what is a browser, right? Some of you may be asking, well, gosh, I don't even know what this is. I know I have to click on it to basically get on the internet, but I don't know what it is. I think sometimes we kind of see this as almost like the wardrobe in Narnia, if you will, right? It's basically something that's there that kind of just magically gets us into this world of the internet. No, not really. Remember, the internet itself is all these interconnected networks, right? It's not something out there in the ether or some sort of strange world or something like that. And a browser facilitates us getting into the internet or onto the internet, and it does that through a couple of things. I mean, the browsers do a lot more than this, but primarily they're requesting web pages from the server where that web page sits, and they do that kind of in a split second, so you don't really notice that. The other thing they do, which is kind of interesting, is they translate. So browsers actually translate what you've seen, which is code, into a form that you can understand. And let me give you an example here. I'm going to pull up Wall Street Journal, and this is in Chrome. So this is what you'd see when you go on the Wall Street Journal's homepage, but it's translated. And what do I mean by that? Well, if I right-click and I go down to View Page Source, see what happens here is you're going to see a massive amount of data, kind of jumbled code and everything like that. That's the web page. That's the homepage of the Wall Street Journal. You can't read that though, right? You can't at all. So behind the scenes, rapidly, before you can even imagine it, the browser translates it into a form that you can see. And this is a pretty complex website because it has pop-ups and it has videos and it has images and all sorts of other kinds of things. But that's really what it does. So it's going to request a web page from the server, and then it's going to translate it for you, and it happens, boom, just like that. So what are the differences between browsers? Well, I've got Chrome here. We know Chrome, that's the most popular browser around. This is run by Google. And then I have Edge, which is Microsoft's most up-to-date browser. This is the browser that's meant to take over for Internet Explorer. Some of you may still have that on your device, but Edge is the one now that really is taking charge for Microsoft. And then I have another one called Brave. And so let's take a look here very briefly, and I'm not going to say very much, but you tell me what some of those differences might be. So this is Chrome, Wall Street Journal in Chrome. Okay, I see some banner ads and images and stuff like that. I'm going to move over to Edge. All right, looks pretty, there's an interesting kind of thing up here. So if you see these, you may want to mention that. What are cookies? You might want to investigate that a little bit more. So there's a difference. Looking around, oh, there seem to be some similarities, right? So I'm going to go to Brave, which Brave is a relatively new one, but it's kind of making a name for itself for some very specific reasons. So I'm going to open up the same web page in Brave. All right, the content's the same. All right, you've got this running stock ticker over here. You've got images. You don't have the banner ad. You don't have anything about cookies right there. It gives you this little notification at the top. That's kind of an interesting thing about Brave. Scroll down. I don't see any of those really big ads. Okay, well, there we go. So when you're making your discussion board, that's one of the things you want to focus on is why is, say, this one different from the other ones? And so I don't want you just to say it's different because of A, B, and C. really what's going to make this interesting discussion board is telling me why. Well, why do you think that? This is going to require a little bit more in-depth research on your part, not tons, so don't worry about that. But you're going to want to actually investigate this a little bit more and say, okay, well, why is, say, Brave different from the other ones? And let me tell you right now, spoiler alert, you'll find out right away when you go to the Brave website, brave.com. There's a nice little tutorial or a nice kind of introductory video that kind of explains it to you. And so you're going to look there and you can say, okay, there are some differences. Also, take a look at kind of the bar up at the top and see what some of these different kinds of buttons may do, right? So this is Brave. Same thing with Chrome. You've got all these tabs up there, but you've also got different kinds of options as well. Same thing with Edge. I might have to get rid of this cookie notice there, but there are some differences there as well. So take some time and actually go through these and take a look and see what is similar, what is different. But again, most importantly, and I don't think we don't come right out and say it here in the instructions, why? Why is it different? And when that second point here, what browser did you find to be most functional and why, this becomes more of a personal one. Why do you use a certain browser when you're not doing your schoolwork? Is there a specific reason? Is it just because Chrome is the one that pops up automatically? Or are you concerned about things like privacy and you want to go to another browser that has perhaps more security or something like that? That's really what's important about a subject like this and a discussion like this, is that you better understand why you use the tool that you use every day, all the time, all right? Think about that for a while. Think really critically about that and reflect on that and try to better understand why you do what you do. Do you even think about it at all? Well, should you think about it? And yes, you should be thinking about it a lot more. But that's really what's going to make this discussion fruitful. This doesn't have to be a challenging discussion in that you really don't know what to say. You scratch the surface a little bit and you're going to have volumes and volumes to say. It may just take a little prompting from someone like me. So I look forward to reading your posts this week, and hopefully you'll get in there as soon as possible and we'll have some really fruitful discussion. Thanks, everybody.